Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking time today to join SME Solutions Group and Port Tampa Bay as we share their use case around financial reporting with the platform Qlik Sense. A few housekeeping notes before we jump in. All participants will be muted for the duration of the call, but please use the chat box for all of your questions, which we will respond to in the latter part of this meeting. So as far as agenda, we're going to go through some introductions, why SME and data analytics equals business intelligence. We're going to discuss the Port's use case and also the top 10 ways to engage with your data using Qlik Sense, followed by the question and answer portion. So a little bit about our speakers today. Myself, Chris Moyer, I'm the President and CEO of SME Solutions Group. I come from a background in the energy and utility space. And started SME 8 years ago to utilize data and business intelligence into that specific vertical and industry. Since then, we have expanded our use cases and support to government, hybrid government, retail, many different industries and verticals around the country and in Canada. We also have Corey Kraft. Corey is the Port Tampa Bay Senior Account and Project Manager for their Business Intelligence Program. Corey's going to be sharing the specific use case and story of how their Qlik Sense deployment is currently going over at the Port and some of the wins that they've had. We're also going to have Nicole DiNicola, who is one of SME's Qlik Sense developers and architects who has been a key contributor and support engine for the Port Tampa Bay project. And Nicole's going to share some of the bells and whistles of the Qlik Sense platform. So about SME, we are a consulting firm that focuses on creating a single version of the truth for our customers and clients. We help a lot of companies consolidate the multiple and disparate data sources that they have and provide visualization as well as automated reporting to help out with decision making and have that more of an immediate response and return. We do focus in some other areas as well as business intelligence and analytics. We do a lot of project management, IT testing, and at the end of the day, our goal is to enhance self-service analytics for our customers. We're a Qlik Elite solution provider, so that allows us to sell the software, support development and integration, and also provide training. And we really harness the idea of data-driven decision making. And that's everything from an executive KPI and a CEO level down to the CSR level, showing both tangible and intangible benefits for our customers. So as you see here, SME, of course, means subject matter experts, and we take a lot of pride in having specializations within many of Qlik's verticals, as well as ensuring that our architects and our developers are trained and certified within Qlik's platform. Very important for us to ensure that our customers are getting the best knowledge and best information on how to execute their deployment first. And what that does is allow for not many issues during implementation and very quick wins to get our customers rolling in the right direction. Our network, as you can see here, I mentioned multiple verticals, and we're going to be specifically talking about the Port Tampa Bay's success stories. But we do, again, support different companies, not only verticals, but also horizontal use cases and deployments to ensure that our customers in the state of Florida and also around the entire country are getting the most use of their data. So why data analytics? Data is the #1 priority for top executives and CIOs currently. As you can see there on the right-hand side, BI and analytics for the last few years has sit in the #1 position. And that's really because areas 2 through 10, right, all include data, and figuring out a way to integrate that to make it available to customers is something that companies have struggled with in the past, and SME and Qlik Sense as a platform is supporting making that a easier use case for companies to act on. At the end of the day, providing specific business insights and values, and the priority that spans equally across IT and the business. We have certainly seen Qlik Sense as a platform really enhance the collaboration between IT and the business in ways that it has not operated in the past. So you've all probably heard the phrase data is the new oil. You need to figure out a way to extract it, refine it, and store it. And at the end of the day, make it actionable. So what we've seen that BI strategies really need is a scalable reporting process to ensure that you can get that single version of the truth. And what it really comes down to is data quality and data integrity for our customers. So a little bit about Qlik. Qlik at a glance, they have over 43,000 customers in 105 countries. Qlik Community, which is a platform that is similar to like a Facebook where customers and partners can share some pains and gains that they've went through across deployments and things of that nature. So a lot of collaboration between end users. Qlik as a company has a 96% customer satisfaction rating within their platform. And that is assessments that have been taken by Gartner, by BI Survey, and some of these other areas. And it's a percentage that you do not see very often in the industry. In addition, Qlik is actually the only Gartner Magic Quadrant leader that has been there for 8 years running. So they continually try and reinvent the platform in their R&D, which our customers and internally SME as a company is a Qlik customer, and we use it to help manage and run our business. So what Qlik is, what it does, what it means. Very simply, it's a flexible platform that uses an associative data indexing technology, which Nicole and Corey will certainly present to you guys. And it allows unrestricted exploration into your data. You are by no means handcuffed as you're utilizing Qlik as a tool and a platform to answer business questions. And what it does also is it allows you to find hidden insights, certain questions that maybe you weren't asking, certain KPIs that you didn't think were valuable in the past. It really unleashes the opportunity to see trends and pinpointing in specific areas of your data and business info. So why Qlik is different? As you'll see on the left-hand side, that's really the model that has been done for years in the visualization space and in the Excel space, which is going from a very high level and asking different business questions and drilling down into, say, a sales rep. But if you ever want to ask different questions, you kind of have to back out, right? You have to pivot back, almost like a train, point A to point B to point C, and go back. What Qlik does as a platform is it runs more hybrid like a helicopter. You're able to ask different questions on the fly. We'll show the green, white, gray concept within Qlik's associative model, which is going to be visually telling in how the platform differentiates from any other softwares out there in the BI space. And also one last piece that Qlik as a platform supports, and it really comes down to the overall value of a business intelligence platform. You hear me say the word platform a lot, and the reason that is because, as you can see there, you have multiple different departments and needs, right? There's some operational excellence initiatives that a company may have. They may be trying to increase revenue from a sales perspective, and all those departmental needs, those data-related needs, Qlik as a platform is able to support. So whether it's tangible, intangible benefits, if you're trying to improve customer satisfaction, you don't need more than one tool anymore to support that. Qlik is also a full ETL enabled product, so supports any type of deployment needs within your organization. So now I would like to actually pass over the controls to Corey to share how Port Tampa Bay is utilizing Qlik in their day-to-day operations. Again, if you have any questions, please post them. And thank you very much for joining our call. Corey?
Thanks, Chris. Before I discuss the implementation of Qlik at Port Tampa Bay, I wanted to give some background on the port. Port Tampa Bay has a huge impact on the Bay Area. It's been measured at having a $17 billion economic impact. Port Tampa Bay is also the largest port in Florida by land mass at over 2,600 acres. It's an exciting time at Port Tampa Bay. we are experiencing records in revenue and other important metrics like our cruise passengers and container TEUs. To continue this record-setting trend, we've identified the need to consolidate multiple data sources. We currently have GP for accounting and IC ports for billing and logistics. Management wanted a way to have this data readily available from a single application. The goal was to have dynamic data, measured KPIs, and improved efficiency across the organization. This led us to adopting Qlik as our BI tool. Now, when we first started our Qlik implementation, our primary focus was data integrity. Like I said, we were pulling our data from two different sources in Great Plains and IC ports. So we need to make sure that we were pulling the correct raw data, and once we had that raw data, that we were transforming it correctly putting it into the right groupings and buckets and categories, so that when we were performing any calculations, we would get the same result as we were when we were doing those calculations manually. And so that was definitely a labor of love, but once we kind of felt comfortable with our data, then we were able to shift to our secondary focus, which was app aesthetics and encourage user feedback and usage. I'm sure most of you have, if you're not accountants, you've gone down to the finance department and you've seen some of the spreadsheets that accountants work on, and they're full of charts and pivot tables, and they can definitely be overwhelming for anyone that's just looking at those spreadsheets for the first time. And we've kind of realized that this can also happen with our Qlik dashboards. So we've really started to kind of first think about who's going to use the dashboard and what are the main questions or data that they're looking for, so we can kind of scale back what we're displaying and make it really visually appealing and easy to read for anyone looking at each specific dashboard. As far as encouraging user feedback and usage, this is really important because it's going to help us discover needs and help management get all the data that they need to make the decisions to keep those record years coming. And so now that we kind of talked about our implementation, I wanted to take some time to show you some of the dashboards that we've been working on in the sheets that we're really excited about. And so the first one I want to show you is our P&L detailed report, which is also known as our board report. This is probably our most important report that we have monthly, because this is what our VP of Finance delivers to the board every month. And so this is imperative that all the data is correct and the numbers are balanced down to the penny. And so what's great about having this live application is that Stephen, our VP of Finance, will be able to be giving the board the presentation. And if any questions arise, such as, hey, what made up the operating revenue for the month or the year last year, he can simply just click and drill down into the application and answer the question right there. And then what else is great is, since this application's built and we already vetted the data, going forward, all he has to do is just pull this application up and he's able to get the data that he needs. The second sheet that I wanted to go over was our department details. Now, if any of you are in finance, you kind of dread the end of the month, the end of the fiscal year, because you're just bombarded with phone calls from other departments asking the status of their budgets. You get phone calls, hey, how much money do I have left? Am I able to afford this new license or undertake this project? And with this sheet that we built, we're able to just refer them to logging into Qlik, and they'll be able to see exactly how much money they have left. So for example, let's say legal called at the end of our fiscal year 2018, and they were asking how they were doing as far as their budget goes. They're simply able to log in and see that they had a little over $70,000 left to spend. And so now those two sheets were kind of geared towards our Great Plains data. Now I wanted to show you some sheets that we use that really incorporate our IC ports. And so the first one is our cruise passengers. Now, this is important for us to track because a lot of our contracts with our our customers or our tenants have incentives built into them. And so it's important to see where we're at so that we can know if any of those incentives have been triggered. For cruise passengers, we recently broke our 1 million passenger milestone. So that was a huge deal for us at the port. There were news clippings all over the Bay Area, and our marketing department was really excited about that. And so this sheet is awesome because, as you can see right down here, this is just a built-in gauge where the moment that we eclipse 1 million passengers, the whole port would be able to recognize that. And then again, the ability to drill down is awesome. So right here we've got our major cruise lines, but if you want to, you can actually click and drill down and you can see what cruise ships comprise those numbers. Then the final sheet that I wanted to show you was our containers or TEUs. And so again, this is really another KPI that we're really focused in because once we hit 100,000 TEUs in a rolling year, it's going to trigger a nice incentive for us. So we're really watching this gauge now pretty much every month to see if we crack that 100,000. And now those sheets were on our executive summary dashboard, which is used by our VPs and our C-suite execs. That was kind of the initial goal of Qlik, to give management those dashboards so they could see everything. But we really found out that Qlik is also it's going to be extremely useful on the department level. For example, in the finance department, one of my jobs is the bank rec at the end of every month. And so before, I'd have to wait for some of my coworkers to pull reports and get me the data I needed to run the bank rec. But I built an application that pulled straight from GP, had all of our bank accounts. And so now at the end of the month, I simply just log into that application and I'm able to pull all the data I need to finish my bank rec, and it saves me personally a lot of time. So next I wanted to, I've got it labeled as areas of improvement, but rather I think it's more just some stumbling blocks that us at Port Tampa Bay encountered and just wanted to share with you all. The first one revolves around our calendar. We implemented a 10-day rule, which basically has to do with our financial reports, and it will not display the new month until the 10th of that following month. So for example, let's say it's November 9th. When you log in to the dashboard, you're still going to see October's numbers. You're not going to see November until November 10th and on. And we did this because with accounting, although the month may actually be over, as far as the calendar goes, you're still going to have adjusting entries and accruals that need to be made. So we wanted this 10-day rule there just to let the executives know that that month is still being worked on and the numbers aren't finalized yet. And the next kind of issue with the calendar was our fiscal year. At the port, we run from October through September, and you're not really going to know you've got the fiscal year calendar set up correctly until you cross over into the next fiscal year. So we had to kind of play with the formulas and go into the calendar as far as Qlik's concerned and set up the proper flags. And that was really kind of a work in progress, and we really kind of had to rely on Nicole and the team at SME to kind of iron that out. But it wasn't a huge issue. It was just kind of identifying it and then kind of doing some research to kind of clean up those equations and clean up the calendar on Qlik. The next stumbling block, as anyone can imagine, when you're kind of using a new BI tool, it's going to involve kind of just combing through the data, just all that data, and just kind of going through and making sure everything's correct and ties to your original source. But what I wanted to share with you all is a neat way that we at the port kind of found a way to identify discrepancies and kind of resolve the issue quicker. And so I'm actually going to jump back into a live sheet to show you all. And so how we did this was actually using kind of tables to fix the issues. So let's say here we've got my board report, and for some reason, let's say the operating revenue wasn't tying back to our Great Plains numbers. A great way to fix this is once you've got your chart that you want to be there and the dimensions and measures, you actually just take the table, drop it over, and convert it to a table, and then you will see a breakdown of all the data that goes into creating that chart. And you can easily kind of comb through it and identify what caused the variance. And so that was just a cool tip and trick I wanted to share with you all. Then the final kind of stumbling block that we've been working on is just the learning curve with Qlik, just teaching old dogs new tricks. At Port Tampa Bay, we've got employees that have been here for over 30 years. So you can imagine that there may be some that are resistant to change. And so how we're kind of combating this and overcoming it is, I mentioned it earlier, but we're really kind of striving to simplify our applications. We want to make them as visually appealing as possible, and basically, I mean, as efficient as possible. We want them, the executives, to be able to log in, be able to decipher the graphs easily, find the information they need quickly to enable them to make the quick decisions and kind of move on with their day. And then the other thing we're encouraging is just everyone to just kind of log in daily to just kind of see the status of the port via the dashboards and KPIs we've built. And this will help develop muscle memory. So with sports or anything that you pick up new, repetition is key, and you just need to kind of build that muscle memory. And then once you do that, it's easy to navigate around Qlik, and you really become comfortable using the tool. Now I wanted to kind of share our current status. I'm happy to say we're 100% matched with GP as far as our financial dashboards go. So like I said, we have complete confidence when our boss, the VP of Finance, logs in every morning. We know those numbers are 100% good. Now, I mean, we still do spot check every now and then, but that's just a good habit to have. As far as our statistical dashboard goes, we're pretty much there. We're really comfortable with our revenue numbers, our cruise passengers, the container TEUs, that was the sheet I showed you guys earlier, tonnage and barrels. And then in progress, we've got a couple other metrics we're kind of working on with our berths or our minimum annual guarantees. And then also some exciting news is, this isn't on the sheet because it just happened, but we're live with the cloud, which is awesome. This is really going to help encourage our executives to be able to kind of log in Qlik, because they're going to be able to do that from wherever they're at, on their mobile device or at home on their computer. So it's really going to help build that muscle memory I was talking about earlier. And then also it's great as far as support goes. Before we were having to schedule our team members over at SME to come into the port and be physically there with us, or try to walk it over or try to solve the problem on the phone. But now they'll be able to log in remotely and help us kind of resolve any issues that may come up a lot quicker than before. And so what's next? We've got a couple upcoming kind of projects that we're working on. We're talking about bringing in a couple more data sources like Alert, which our engineering department uses, and Command Bridge. And then also we are getting pretty close actually to upload our budget into IC ports. So we'll have another kind of source of data to kind of compare our numbers against. And then along with that, we're just continuing to kind of refine our applications that we have, like our executive summary dashboard, which is live. And now we're going to start to kind of focus on the department level applications and help them build applications that'll help them in their day-to-day work lives. And so now for the grand finale, I just wanted to give some unfiltered feedback. And so to be brutally honest, Qlik is a great tool. It's really powerful, and we're only scratching the surface. Really impressed with the smart search. There's a chart assistance where if you've got different data, but you're not kind of sure about how to display it, you can kind of click that option, and then Qlik will actually make a recommendation for the best way to display that data. And so again, I mean, I keep going back to live examples, but I mean, it works. And so that's been great for our executive summary dashboard to kind of help easily display the information we're trying to show our executives. Qlik is very intuitive. It's easy to use and navigate once you just kind of get in there using it and kind of playing around. But we're really excited because there's a ton of untapped potential. We've only been using this, I mean, we started the implementation about 6 months ago, but really probably only really kind of using it the past couple of months. So we're really excited to see what's next and on the horizon for us at Port Tampa Bay with Qlik.
And we're really excited to see what you guys got planned as well. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Denicola, and as Chris mentioned earlier, I'm a BI developer here at SME. I've been working with Corey and the port for roughly the last 6 months. Since Corey did such a great job at showcasing their particular use case, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate an app that was developed for project management to highlight some of the best features and functionality of Qlik Sense. So here we have a typical summary dashboard with our top level KPIs at the top and some detailed charts below. As you may have noticed from Corey's presentation, everything in Qlik Sense is quote unquote clickable. So if I wanted to filter by, let's say, the division financial, I can go ahead and click that here, and my entire dashboard will update to reflect that selection. So I can see that I have 3 projects that are associated with the financial division, and then I can also see where those projects may have started and how they're doing in comparison to my baseline costs as well as my resource hours. Now let's say I wanted to perform more of a cost analysis on this data. I want to know, okay, these are the 3 financial projects, but really how well are we doing according to our budget? It says we're about almost 7% under, but like, are we getting close? So if I go up here to the top, I can click this right arrow and go to the next sheet. And my selections, my filter for that financial division will actually carry over. So you can see that at the top here and my selections bar. So I can see that how well my projects are in line with their costs. It looks like, ooh, project B is getting close. We're right on spot compared to what we had planned. So I just need to make sure I watch that so we don't go over. And now let's say I don't only manage the financial projects. I also want to keep an eye on the HR projects. What I can do is there's actually a smart search functionality feature in Qlik Sense. So if I go up to the top here to this little smart search button, what smart search is that it's basically, it'll search for any keyword throughout my entire app, and it will populate associated fields or even visualizations that may belong to that particular search. So let me see, if I search HR, I know I'm part of the HR department. Oh, there we go. So it's suggesting that I want the division, and that is what I want. Perfect. Ooh, so right away, when I selected HR, I can see that I have a few projects here that are Ooh, looks like a little bit over budgeted costs. So maybe I want to drill into that. But before I do, I want to show you this awesome resource that I have right here at the bottom right corner. So this is called narrative science. And narrative science is a natural language generation visualization that allows you to have a business analyst built right into your data. So what this is doing is it's analyzing what's happening in this particular sheet. So it's taking into account all of the selections that I'm making on visualizations, and it's actually computing it into words. So if I look here, if I wanted to look at planned versus actual costs, we can see that planned costs outperformed actual costs with an average about $30,000 like under. So that's really good, right, for most of these projects in the financial and the HR division. The best, it's not period, I should probably change that word here, but project was project H, and it was actually under budgeted by $45,000, which is awesome. So narrative science is really helpful if you want to have some data analysis right at your fingertips and you don't want to really have to dive into the data. It will kind of do that for you. So you can actually even add colors, custom fields. You can highlight different things. I can actually remove different bullets if I didn't want to see them. So there's a lot of customization here and a lot of power to this tool. So you'll notice, like, let's go ahead and drill down into those two projects that I see that are over budget. So if I select H and I, my narrative will also update to reflect that selection. So now I can see for this particular selection, we had about $45,000 more than our projected budget for project H, and about $2,485 over for project I. Now, another awesome extension object that I would like to point out here that I have is called this input variable. So what if I want to know what is it going to take for me to bring these projects back into balance? How can I get them back to be about zero? I need them to be right in line with what I planned. What percentage change in the cost as the project continues to progress do I need to make? So let's say I can reduce costs by 10%. Let's say I can get them down 10% from what they are right now. And wow, look at that. Oh, I did a positive 10%. So if costs increase by 10%, then man, we are going to be way over our budgeted projection here. But I meant to put negative, so if we go down in costs 10%, let's see. Okay, so much better than what we were seeing before. So before, I'll just click this back button to see what it was. We had, oh, that's with 10%. So at zero, we're about $47,000 over. And if I go back to the minus 10%, we're only about $7,000 over. Okay, so we're pretty close. So I think maybe if I do like, what if I get it down, like 12%? What does that look like? Nice, we're in the green. Okay, so I know that if I get my costs down somewhere between 10 and 12%, then I'll be right on track with my budget. So both of these extensions here are really, really useful. They really add a lot of value to my analysis and my data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the bookmarks bar, and I'm going to create a bookmark for my selections. So what this is going to do is it's going to store the filters that I've selected. So far I've selected, if I hit create new bookmark, I'm on the cost analysis sheet. So we can see that here. I'm on the cost analysis sheet of my app. I have selected two projects, which are H and I. And I've also selected two divisions. So if we remember from just a few minutes ago, I had selected financial, if I can spell right, and I had selected HR. So these are the projects I want to keep an eye on. So maybe in the title, maybe I'll move this to the description. And for the title, I'll say over budget projects. And I'll just put in parentheses HR and Fin for financial. So now I've got a little description there. And now I can return to this at any time. So if I log out of Qlik Sense and I come back in tomorrow, I can go right up to this bookmark and I can select it and pick up right where I left off. So bookmarks are really, really valuable. Now, what's also awesome is if, let's say, tomorrow I'm not going to be on site, I don't have access to my computer. Qlik Sense actually is responsive to the screen that it's being viewed on. So if I was to open up a browser in my phone, this is what it would look like. So instead of having a full dashboard, it's going to be each individual object on one sheet. So now I can see here what those costs are. I can see if I reduce costs by 12%, then I'll be good. But if I just clear all my selections, I can clear my filters here. I'll hit close. So this is going to be overall, all of my projects. I still have the same access to the visualizations. So this is really important because I might be on the go and I want to know at any moment in time how my operations are occurring around my business, and I need to be able to check back in. Also, you'll see up here, I still have access to my bookmarks. So if I did want to look at those projects and see if they're any closer to being under budget, I can select those. So now, if I wanted to maybe explore a little bit more about this cost situation that I have going on. So I want to try to get my costs down. I need to drill in more about what's going on. So I know that it's Project H and Project I, but what resources do I have assigned to that? How can I view this data maybe in a better way? So Qlik Sense has what we call the cognitive engine. So if I click this button here that says Insights, I can search for any field or a term, and Qlik Sense will automatically generate what it thinks I want to see. So let's say I was talking about cost before, so let's look up cost. So you can see here, I've got a couple suggestions. So maybe I want to look at actual cost. So it looks like I have what we call a master measure. I'll come back to that in a minute for actual costs. Also just cost data in general. I could look at baseline costs. I could also look at my unplanned costs. So I think let's stick with the plan here and let's stick with unplanned costs. And so Qlik Sense is going to go ahead and generate those visualizations for me. So it's saying, okay, this is total unplanned costs. Remember, I still have the finance or projects H and I selected, and I also have the HR and financial divisions selected. So if I wanted to clear those selections to get a full view about unplanned costs, I could also do that. So I also have, maybe I want to look at unplanned costs by month, or maybe I want it broken down by project and resource. That sounds interesting. Let's take a look at this. What is this telling me? So I can preview this visualization. It looks like what we've got is it's bucketing in a tree map my unplanned costs for 2016, and it's bucketing them by division. So I have marketing, HR, and IT, and then the projects that belong to those unplanned costs. So I can see just by looking at this tree map that the marketing division actually had 3 projects with the most unplanned costs overall. And I can tell that by the size of the box. So the way a tree map works is it's the area of the box that is being shown determines how much, how great the measure is. So let's say I like this visualization. I want to add that to my cost analysis sheet. If I go down here, I can actually click this toggle and I can select which sheet I want it on. So I want it on my cost analysis. And I can then go to the cost analysis, and Qlik Sense will have added that visualization for me. So I can see here, now I have this awesome visualization, as well as I can tell which projects may be over budget. And I just have added insights to my dashboard. So now I've just shown you just quite a few things about Qlik Sense that are my favorite. I know we're a bit limited on time. There's a lot more to show you that I'd love to feature, including our stories, which you saw Corey demonstrate briefly earlier today, as well as our master items, which you heard me mention. And also, I would love to show you more about the cognitive engine when you're building out visualizations, as well as our data manager. So if you are interested in learning more, I'd love to take this off the call and offline, and I'm happy to demonstrate more to you. But for the time that we do have left, let's go ahead and answer any questions that may have come up.
All right, so this is Chris again. It looks like we have a few questions that have already come in, but of course, as we go through this, please feel free to add any more to the group chat. Corey, looks like the first one's for you. Are you using Qlik Daily, or is it more for ad hoc reporting currently in the phase that you guys are in?
Sure, good question. I'd actually say both. I mean, we're definitely using Qlik Daily. As I mentioned in my presentation, my boss, the VP of Finance, probably pulls up his dashboards daily and we'll kind of check the numbers out. And if he's got any questions, he'll kind of come to us kind of based off of what he saw in Qlik. And then also, I mean, we're kind of focusing on some of those important KPIs like the cruises and the TEUs. So we're watching those pretty frequently. But we also do our fair share of ad hoc reports. Just the other day, I had someone in marketing request to kind of get the numbers on new vehicles we've received here at the port over the last couple months. So I was able to kind of quickly whip that up and kind of get them the numbers in no time using Qlik.
Great, thanks. And you bring up marketing. What are some of the other departments that you guys kind of see in the future utilizing the capabilities of the tool? Is it going to be specific departments onboarding from time to time, or do you guys see this as a full enterprise use in different areas?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be used across the board. Definitely marketing with kind of checking on kind of commodities, but also I know real estate is really starting to dive into it. I think they recently worked with Nicole on building an application to kind of track the status of, I'm going to call them projects, but just kind of tracking maybe kind of leases from where it's at. Is it with legal, or has it made it back to the future tenant? And just so they can kind of keep an eye on everything. But I know that department in particular is really excited about it. But I'm sure facilities could use it as well to kind of track their ongoing projects.
Okay, cool. And another one for you, Ash, of Corey. You mentioned it was a bit of a struggle to start out by defining your KPIs and metrics. Can you elaborate on how you guys address that actual issue, now looking back on it, and how you do it more proactively?
Sure. Yeah, with the KPIs when we started and kind of the whole Qlik implementation, our finance department spearheaded it. So we're the ones that were kind of talking with you guys over at SME and kind of thinking about what we thought the most important KPIs were. And that's just kind of what we were maybe requested as far as kind of running reports. So we kind of had our finance hats on and developed all these KPIs. But then when you kind of talk to the other departments, you kind of realize, hey, some of those are important, but they might put a little more weight on some other metrics. So I guess my advice and what we've kind of done going forward is just kind of involve more of the departments. kind of across the board so that we make sure that we're getting everyone all the data and kind of all the most important data that they need.
Okay, great. Nicole, third question is about data sources specifically. What are the sources that you see most frequently being integrated in with Qlik across your customer base?
Sure. So a lot of the customers that I work with have some sort of database that they're connecting to, whether it's SQL or Oracle. I've also done Access database. It's very common to see a lot of flat files as well. So if they might have been using like Excel reports or like PDFs or like documents prior, that's also something that's very common. And then we also do work with like a lot of cloud-based data sources. So Salesforce, with the port, they used IC ports, which is a NetSuite product. So those are also very common. Qlik is really flexible and able to connect to really any data source out there.
Yep. Yeah, and what we've actually seen too is not only the direct data sources for the organization specifically, but Qlik is able to integrate and pull data from social media, weather, of course, reports and areas like that, as well as a lot of utility and energy customers. The weather information, when associated with other metrics and KPIs, usually tells a pretty defining story. So certainly the data integration piece is a big plus. Is the Great Plains and IC ports data linked by a date or by something more? So that more of a technical question, but Nicole or Corey, if you want to jump in on that.
Yeah, so I can answer that one. Great Plains and IC ports are connected by date as well as GL account number. So Great Plains, as Corey mentioned, is their accounting source system. So everything that comes in is billed through Great Plains, and then IC ports is actually like the raw operating revenue. So this is like as they're creating sales schedules, there's an invoice number tied to it, and that invoice eventually goes to a GL account to be billed. So we've connected Great Plains on both the GL account as well as the date.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Corey, another question for you. Does your 10-day rule apply across the board or only for financial data? And if it's applied across the board, can it be restricted to only certain use cases?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's kind of actually what we did. When we started out, we had it across the board on our like financial applications and our stats apps, but then kind of talking, we realized we only really kind of needed it on our financial dashboards, like our profit and loss report. So we did kind of scale it back and kind of remove that rule from our statistical dashboards, and now it's only applicable to a couple of our sheets.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that detail and great questions from the group. Looks like we have about 10 minutes left. We don't have any additional questions that have come in. So obviously up there we have some information regarding if you have any additional questions or want to talk more about specific use cases with the port or with SME, please just shoot us an email at info@smesgroup.com, and be sure to check out our white papers on our website to hear more about our current use cases and available services that we have. So thank you again for everybody for your time today, and thank you Nicole and Corey for presenting. Everyone have a great and safe weekend.